Hey, everybody. I'm David with Miles with Views, and I want to talk to you today about the reason why I chose a gas burner truck, dually, versus a diesel truck, the pros and cons. Okay, y'all. So I hate regrets. I hate buying something and you have to turn around and buy it twice. I had a guy, he was an attorney, Mr. Clay. And I think this was before the vehicles came out with the start stop feature when you come to a stop. He had some Mercedes Benz. He would come to a stoplight and turn it off. When the light changed, he would crank back up and take off. And one thing I remember Mr. Clay saying is, if you count your pennies, the dollars will take care of themselves. So when I started researching for a truck, I was looking at towing capacity, um, the bed length, horsepower, um, things like that, gas mileage. My guy Curtis that does my bookkeeping, no, I'm sorry, he doesn't do my bookkeeping. He does my payroll. He came up one day and he was driving a F-250. And I said, man, why are you driving such a big truck around? He said, oh, David, when I towed my fifth wheel, I used that truck. So I was in the market for a truck and I said, well, what kind of gas mileage you get when you pulling? And he had a diesel truck. He said, oh, when I'm pulling, I get about 9 miles a gallon. I was like, oh, wow, diesel truck. I'm a gasoline mechanic. I repair cars, trucks. I have no experience with the diesel. So I definitely couldn't see myself going with the diesel regardless of what. Um, well, let me rephrase that. Not regardless of what. I was leery of a diesel. So when I started checking into towing capacity, the the gas mileage, the necessary bed length that you need, because that's important. Your gear ratio in your rear end, that's important. Now, I didn't want to go with a four-wheel drive truck, but what I found is when you go with the four-wheel drive versus a two-wheel drive, you get more horsepower. So I went with the four-wheel drive. And I kept talking to people. I would see different people. I saw one guy one evening at the truck stop driving a 2500 gas burner, 6.4 liter. I said, man, when you're pulling, how does it do? He said, it does great. And he burned premium gas in it. So I saw somebody else riding down the street. I would follow people till they finally pull over, and I talk to them and tell them what I was going through. And they would take time and share information with me about it. So I started looking at the Dodge 2500. It gave me the towing capacity I was looking for. It had the 8-foot bed and stuff. So one day I went down to the Dodge dealer just to talk to them about the 2500. And the salesman took me to the computer and he said, well, we have this truck here, but it's a 3500 and it's got a 50-gallon tank. Ding, 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 ding. My first thought was, okay, a diesel pulling a fifth wheel, he's getting 9 miles a gallon. So I asked the salesman, I said, what size tank does the 2500 have? He said, he looked it up, he said a 30-gallon tank. So I'm thinking 30 gallons times 9 on a diesel, that's 270 miles, and a gas burner is not going to be as good. So I was like, let me go see this 50-gallon tank, this truck with this 50-gallon tank. So he took me out there and I looked at it. It was a brand new truck. So I test drove the 2500 first, me and my wife, and it was nice. It was comfortable, nice ride, nice truck. Then we drove the Dodge 3500, the one with the 50-gallon tank. And it was nice, but it was bumpy. If you ever watch one of our videos with me and my wife driving and you see her doing all of this and she always complaining, oh, she just did it real bad yesterday, real bad. We didn't have a camper hooked up. We was leaving Home Depot and I hit a huge pothole. And that truck jolted her and she's hollering and I'm looking at her like, really? But it's a heavy duty truck. It is a heavy duty truck. So I rushed and took her home so I could get her out of that truck and I can get her off my nerves. But it is a much more rigid drive than the 2500. But when I decided to go with that truck, I had even talked to salesmen in the parts departments. Oh, David, if you go with a Dodge, go with the 410 gear and all of that. So this salesman showed me this truck, and I had looked up the horsepower. It had 410 horsepower. Towing capacity was 18,210 pounds of towing capacity. It had an 8-foot bed. It already had the electronic brake controller hooked up to the truck. It was made into the truck to control the electronic brakes on the camper. It had the puck system to hook up a fifth wheel or a gooseneck. It was already with the truck. Plus, it had the 50-gallon tank. So, and it had the 410 gear in the rear end. This truck checked off all the boxes, everything I needed. And I was like, I was still hesitant because I don't want to purchase something and find out later this is not what I really needed. But ever since I purchased this truck 4 years ago, and I have been nothing but pleased. Now, we are going to link up a video, one of our last videos where we was up in Alabama and we was actually going to down a decline at one point. And you hear that truck, yeah, it's braking. And I mean, it was switchbacks real sharp. And then even when we left, yeah, the truck was working. It was pulling, coming up out of there because I didn't want to make a left turn because I know the incline, the decline that we came down. I didn't want to go back that way. So I went the opposite direction. And that truck, it pulled it on out. Very seldom do we get in a situation where we having to pull like that. So we made it out with no problem. And I was nothing but pleased. I love to know my gas mileage. I'm a mechanic. If you know what your truck is getting when you bought it new, when you start having a problem and your gas mileage starts to diminish, you know there's something wrong. When my wife tells me, well, baby, I want to go somewhere such and such, I GPS it. I'm looking at how many miles it is and how many hours. So I'm driving like 5 hours on a tank of gas versus every hour I have to stop and get gas on a smaller tank. So I look at how many miles we are going, and that's telling me how many tanks of gas I need. Just yesterday, we got back from Texas, and it took me, I filled up, we took off driving, I drove to 5 hours or so. I filled up again, and it brought me all the way home. So I love to know that. I break it all the way down, and you'll see in the video as well. Each quarter tank of gas, I could go 100 miles, and I timed it. And so when you're driving with the fifth wheel, it's slower. You might be driving 70 miles an hour, but when you do the math on it, you're not making 70 miles in an hour. So I drove 100 miles. It took me 133 point something minutes to drive 100 miles. That's 2 hours and 13 minutes to drive 100 miles because you got so much weight behind you, stopping and going, slowing down. And then when you take off, you have to build that speed up again. Now, yes, you could put your foot in it. The deeper you put your foot in it, the more gas you're going to burn. You got a lot of weight behind you. You can get it going, but can you stop it? That's the most important part. Can you stop it? And you definitely don't want to keep going. And we see a lot of people out there on the road. They're getting it. Just because you can pull it don't mean you should pull it that fast. So I usually set my cruise control. You know, my wife's in there. She's always trying to keep me obeying the law. So speed might be 70 miles an hour or 65. I say 65. So I set my cruise control at 67, 68. I got to break it a little bit, but it usually works for me. And as a mechanic, you know, if you just Run the speed limit, you're saving gas. So that's the main reason I do it. I set my cruise control and I sit back and I just drive. Get me a cup of sweet tea. I could drive all day. So I am really impressed with my 2021 Ram 3500 dually with the 50-gallon tank. My truck sits 6-7 days a week. If we're not camping, my truck sits. I couldn't justify buying a diesel also because I only use it when I pull my camper. So if it's sitting all the time, I have no reason to have a diesel. If I was working with it, making money with it, that would be different, but I'm not. That's for when I take my family out camping. That was my other part of going with the gas burner. Everywhere you go, you're not going to find a diesel mechanic. And if you do, you're going to have to really look. Even my oil changes, talking about maintenance. So far, I've put 2 tires on there. I had my rear end fluid changed, my differential fluid, front and rear. I had that done at the dealer, but I changed my oil myself. And yes, I have a commercial account because I do repair cars, but I run Mobil 1 oil in my truck and I change it myself. I pay $75.72 for Mobil 1 oil and Mobil 1 oil filter, and I change it myself. Anything else that goes wrong with that truck, I could do for the most part. But if I'm out on the road and everything, I could still find a shop where that truck could go versus paying high dollar for diesel. Last week, I went down to the Dodge dealer for a part, and I just passed by a vehicle. It was a 3500, a new truck, and it was diesel. It was sitting right out there in the front. So I just passed by, looked at the sticker. That truck was $105,000 for a Dodge pickup. You'll see, we're going to show you a picture in here. When I bought this truck, as a matter of fact, I still have my sticker. This truck was $48,455 for this truck. For a brand new truck. It had 12 miles on it when we purchased it. I am pleased with this truck. I buy tools all the time, and that's why I hate regrets. I like to buy something that's going to last, something that's good. You could always find something cheaper, but will it last? And if you have your family out there, I don't know if anybody ever been broke down out of state with your family. That's a bad feeling. It's a very bad feeling. You are at someone else's mercy. And usually people come through Pensacola, they'll call me, they'll look me up and everything. I do give them priority because it is a bad feeling to be broke down out of town. So if I can, I do what I can to help them, to get them back on the highway, to get them going to their destination. So, all right. Okay, everyone. I'm about to gas up. I purposely ran this tank down to empty. I have 20 miles to empty. I'm going to fill it up. I usually reset my tripometer then. We're going to take off on this trip tomorrow. So I just wanted to document it and show you what type of gas mileage. Now, I've been driving the truck around town, so that's why I'm at 10.8 miles per gallon. But once I reset the trip and especially hook the fifth wheel up, you'll see the miles per gallon change. And this is just documentation. This is what I love to do. I like to know my gas mileage. That way when my wife say, well, hey, baby, let's go such and such, I find out how many miles it's away. They tell me how many gallons of gas I need to get there, how many tanks of gas. So once I fill up, I take a picture, how much gas I put in, how many gallons I put in, and give you an idea. Okay, so my first receipt, the pump stopped automatically at 40 gallons. That cost me $123.56. So I finished filling up. I got another 6.5 gallons. That cost me $20.30. So usually when I get here, I go ahead and reset my tripometer. I'm at 50,686.3 miles. And as I drive, you'll see, like I told you, the miles per gallon will change, especially once I hook to the camper. And that's what I go by on how many miles I'm getting per gallon. I've been watching this truck so much. I fill it all the way up. Usually every quarter tank, I can go 100 miles. When I get 350 miles, I need to start looking for a gas station. That's off one tank of gas. Now I have a 50-gallon tank in this truck. So I'll come back at you tomorrow once I hook up and show you how many miles per gallon I'm actually getting in this truck. Okay, we pulling out. It is 10:57 a.m. I'm at 50,690 miles. You can see my miles per gallon changed to 5.7. That, like I said, that will adjust once I get to rolling. I do have the camper hooked up now. So I'll come back at you. I'm gonna drive till I go 100 miles and show you where this gas needle sits then. Okay, I just hit 100 miles of driving. My miles per gallon is 7.4 miles. And like I said, I went used almost a quarter tank of gas since we left. It is now 12:37. And just giving an update on the miles per gallon. Like I said, the miles per gallon would go up, and I am definitely towing the RV. So to me, that's pretty decent mileage, towing a 13,000 pound, 49-foot fifth wheel. 39. I said 49. Excuse me. That's 39.5-foot fifth wheel. My wife had to correct me, y'all. Okay, y'all. The last thing I want to discuss is towing capacity. And on this sticker, if you look at the top where it says tire and loading information, below that in the first paragraph, it says 3,094 pounds. That's your cargo. You should never exceed that much. That's your contents inside. If you have any toys and everything, that adds to your gross vehicle weight. So you never want to go above that. Further down on the sticker, on the placard, it shows a gross vehicle weight of 16,800 pounds. That's your max weight. That's included your 3,094 pounds. That's why it's very important to find a truck that's going to give you that type of towing capacity. Yes, the diesels definitely give you that, but so does this gas burner truck that I have. So that's very important. It's a lot of things that you need to research and know about before just buying any old truck, especially the gear in your rear end. You could even get a diesel, but if you had the wrong gear, it's not going to give you the gas mileage. It's not going to give you the power that you're actually looking for. So do your research before buying one of these trucks, especially when you're getting ready to make such a huge purchase. Hey, if any of you have any diesel trucks, and you know your gas mileage, I'm interested to see. We did watch another YouTube channel, and they really did a good job talking about their gas mileage in the diesels. Also, I was looking at the price because I do run premium gas in this truck. So I'm usually spending about $150 for a tank of gas. But with diesel, you have to have diesel plus DEF fluid. So that was something else that I looked at. Thank y'all for watching our channel. Please like, comment, and share, and subscribe if you hadn't subscribed already. Thank you. Have a good evening.